Fossil fuels have been powering our economies for 150 years. However, the Earth is warming, the oceans are warming, and ocean oxygen levels are depleted. Warmer oceans, sea level rise, coastal erosion, and destruction of critical marine habitats. The time has come to respond to this crisis and move beyond fossil fuels.
First of all, I applaud the nature of this documentary and the content. I think it's very timely and very necessary. And I think the filmmakers did a great job of keeping an element of triumph and hope and positivity, even though the situation is of surrounding climate change is dire. They did a really great job of keeping the audience engaged and hopeful about the future. I think one of the things I thought was the most compelling about this documentary was the diagrams and the ways in which that really complicated information was distilled down into really digestible images and diagrams. So you really understood what it is to have like a wind turbine offshore and how it's affecting the fishermen. And on that note, I thought they did a great job of illuminating both sides, like the narrative for both the people who are pro and against this sort of expansive overtake of having windmills and wind turbines offshores. I thought they did a really great job of illustrating the fears that the fishermen have, and also the argument that these things need to happen sooner rather than later. All of these things are really clearly laid out for an audience member that really makes you think and ponder because both sides have really, really great arguments, and I thought they were both laid out really cleanly. And just in general, the visual shots, the establishing shots, all of the coverage that was done was really, really beautifully done and really impactful. And I think all of those things really work together to create a very informative, but also hopeful and smart piece of media.
Very thought-provoking and informative about the problems of climate change and fossil fuels. I thought the film was very effective in terms of delivering its message. It's extremely informative. It's all grounded in science. It's jam-packed with facts, and it's all given to the viewer in a way that is very clear and straightforward and easy to understand. I thought this film was very informative and illuminating about the floating offshore turbines. I really like that it went in depth about this new cutting edge technology. I think that's something that distinguishes this film, and I thought that it was bringing something different to the table with that. This film is also filled with beautiful ocean photography. I like how you get a sense of the interview subjects and their personalities. Overall, I thought this was just a really fascinating film.
This really kept me focused on the point. I liked the narrator a lot. Great narrator. I liked the intro, great script and pace, like I said, very educational. I had never heard of any kind of windmills on the water, wind power floating device offshore. Just super cool, but how it conflicts with the fishermen and ecologists is another story. And it really made me thinking, how would this affect the sea life and also, the fishermen and anybody that's out there on the water and having to find the right place to do it, the right location. Just very interesting, and how it also kind of clashes with Chumash culture and protections there. There's a lot involved in something like this, and they don't have to like reinvent the wheel because they already have windmills in other places. So it's a really great idea in theory, but how do all these things get worked out to where it's still good for the environment, not hurting anything in that sense, but also not hurting the Chumash and just the fishermen and everybody involved. And I mean, they talked a lot about how it would affect the fishermen money-wise, but also the people eating the fish, right? I mean, they're fishing to sell these fish, and how are we going to have our fish if we can't work together to make all of this happen for the good of everyone?
This was really educational, and it was just stunning. The cinematography that they did was astounding, and I loved it. To go ahead and do offshore wind power is amazing. I wanted to make sure that I called it what it was supposed to be called. But I also know that finding a balance with the fisheries is really key. And you have these two sides that are talking, and everybody is bringing up really good points. And I'm hopeful that we'll be able to find a balance. I think through this film, it really does raise awareness about how we do need the wind power, offshore wind power, to have clean energy. And I think that the message of this is really, really important. It was shot really well. It was clear. I liked how they explained everything. They explained everything very concisely. It was clearly the way that this was edited. They did a great job moving from point to point. It didn't kind of jump or skip anything where I felt like, where I felt like I had to go back because I missed a point of something. So I thought that they edited it really well. And I also loved the voiceover. The actress who did the voiceover in this, her cadence was perfect for it. And I really loved I loved her delivery.
I thought this was a really informative documentary. I thought that it not only explained like what the quote unquote problem is or what the subject was of trying to harness this offshore wind or this coastal wind, but then they went a step further and explained more of the history about it, more of why they were trying to harness this power, why this was an idea that people are really passionate about, why people would be opposed to this, who it would affect, not just what it would affect, not just the environment or the ecosystem that it would affect, but also who would have an effect with the fishermen. No matter what, when this kind of big, huge industry is involved of the sustainable energy industry or the energy industry in general, is such a huge, massive industry that it has such a loud, strong voice anyway. And when you're talking about these kind of big, huge concepts, you're never going to find something that's not going to affect somebody. You're never going to find something that's not going to have an impact. And while it would be great if we could, that's just not the reality of life. So acknowledging it, yes, this is going to have an impact on people. Yes, this is going to impact these ecosystems and these fishermen and everything like that. But not just admitting yes, it's going to happen, but also inviting them to the conversation and being willing to work with them and hoping that they're willing to work as well, if they're actually willing to come to the table, I think is the ultimate point here.
Does a very good job of showing all these options that people want and the future that can be done, that we can have. And I think it's very well done, well narrated, well shot, and all the varying voices, and nice to hear all these voices and their opinions, so just hear the facts.